All right, you know the scene. The stadium lights are blazing, the whole world is tuned in, and there's one name that still just echoes louder than any other: Cristiano Ronaldo. But as we start looking ahead to what could be his final World Cup, something just feels different this time, right?
And that, right there, is the heart of it. I mean, we've seen him on this stage so many times before, but 2026, it's not just another tournament. It really does feel like we're reading the final pages of one of the most unbelievable stories football has ever seen.
I mean, just think about his career for a second. It's basically a monument to pure discipline and just relentless ambition. We're talking about a guy who's won league titles in England, Spain, and Italy, who's lifted the Champions League trophy over and over, and who's just shattered records most players wouldn't even dare to dream about.
But for all of that success, there's always been this one huge looming question, hasn't there? Can he finally grab the one prize that takes a legend and makes him truly immortal? You know the one. That single trophy that's always been just beyond his grasp.
So this really brings us to the great paradox of his entire career, right? His journey in the World Cup, man, it's a story of some incredible highs and some absolutely crushing lows. Okay, let's just start with a number that shows you just how consistent this guy is. 5. He's the only male player in history to score in 5 different World Cups. Think about that. That record, it speaks to a kind of longevity, an elite level of performance that's, well, it's almost superhuman. But then you see this: 0. For all those individual moments of pure genius, the ultimate team prize has slipped through his fingers every single time. And that one number, 0, that's what fuels this whole narrative. It's the reason for this final pursuit. Okay, so let's really break down what that absence means when you put it up against everything else he's done in his career. And wow, the contrast is just so stark, isn't it? At the club level, the guy was just inevitable, a true serial winner. But his World Cup story? That's the one empty space in what is otherwise a completely packed, flawless trophy cabinet. It's the final missing piece of the puzzle. I mean, his World Cup history reads like a movie script. You go back to 2006, he was the young kid full of promise. By 2010, the pressure was just massive. 2014, the team kind of struggled around him. 2018, we got that absolutely legendary hat trick against Spain, just reminding everyone of his greatness. And then there's 2022. Pure heartbreak. And I think for so many of us, that image is just burned into our minds, right? Him walking down the tunnel in tears after losing to Morocco. It really felt like the end, the absolute lowest point of his international career. It really seemed like the dream was over for good. But, as we now know, it wasn't.
And of course, you can't tell this story without talking about the massive shadow that looms over everything. The one debate that has pretty much defined an entire generation of football fans.
Because look, when you talk about legacy, especially when you're talking about these two titans, the whole conversation always circles back to one single thing: the ultimate tiebreaker in the GOAT debate, Ronaldo versus Messi. And when you compare them, it's pretty incredible. They're almost identical when it comes to club trophies and individual awards. But it's that last row on the chart, that's the one that matters to so many people. That one little check mark for the World Cup that Messi got in 2022, it just completely changed the conversation overnight. All right, so all of that brings us to the future and the absolutely monumental challenge that's sitting right in front of him as he gears up for one last attempt. 41. Just let that number sink in for a minute. He'll be 41 years old. I mean, to even be in the conversation for a World Cup at that age as an outfield player is, well, it's basically unheard of. And it immediately brings up the biggest, toughest question of all. And it's a totally fair question, isn't it? I mean, really, can a 41-year-old truly compete at that level? Can he keep up with the insane pace, the intensity, the sheer physical demands of the biggest tournament on Earth?
But, before you go betting against him, you have to remember who we're talking about. This would be a record 6th World Cup appearance. He's still scoring goals at an absolutely insane rate. And his work ethic? Come on, it's legendary. It's the very thing that has let him basically defy time for his entire career.
The thing is, though, the challenge isn't just about his age. It's also about how he fits into this new Portugal team. Because let's be honest, this is not the same team he was leading years ago. This squad is packed with young, fast, technically brilliant attackers. The whole tactical question is shifted. It's not how do we get the ball to Ronaldo anymore. Now it's how does this legendary goal scorer fit into a system built on constant movement?
So you take all of this, the history, the rivalry with Messi, his age, this new-look team, and it's all building towards one last dramatic climax.
Because after all the analysis, and all the stats, and all the tactical talk, you have to remember one simple truth about football. It doesn't always make sense. It doesn't always follow the script.
Sometimes it's just about moments. That one goal, that one perfect pass, that one run that just defies all logic.
And that really is the whole point, isn't it? If you had to pick one single player in the entire history of football who was built a career on doing the impossible, who lives for the moments when the odds are stacked against him, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. His entire career is just one long highlight reel of him proving everyone wrong.
So it all leaves us with this one massive question. Is this how the story ends? Will he finally get that missing piece and, as so many people say, complete football? Or is the World Cup trophy going to be the one thing that he could just never conquer? Well, one thing's for sure. History is waiting to be written.